Greetings and welcome to Real Men Feel. This is your host, Andy Grant. I'm an author, coach, speaker, and healer. You can visit theandygrant.com to learn more about that. Real Men Feel is here to remind men that they are human beings and that they are entitled and have the right to feel and express and expand and share all of their emotions. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. We have the conversations that most men aren't having, but that all men can benefit from. And in this work, in podcasting and in my healing work, I get to meet lots of men that are, doing their best to be of service and help other men, help the world. And that's who I'm talking to tonight. My guest today is healer, coach, and men's group facilitator, Justin Gagne. Welcome to Real Men Feel, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was glad to. So we just met like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 weeks.
It's funny because we've chatted briefly a few times, so I feel like I've known you longer than just 2 weeks. So it's interesting.
Exactly. I know it always goes that way. Definitely.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, what prompted you to want to create a men's group to begin with?
It came down to just being on my own, really on the journey, and guys at work that I was working with weren't really in that kind of sense. Everyone was just doing the everyday grind, and I just had so much on my mind to talk about, and I just wanted my fellow brothers to talk to, but the guys I was around were all they really could honestly talk about football, baseball, what was on the tube that night. So, and I tried to dabble into a little bit and talk to them, but most didn't really vibe with it, and it was okay. So that just led me down to the road to find some men and to share our journey together.
So have you always been seeking that more depth than kind of the average person on the street, or is this kind of recent for you?
It's always been yes, it's always been searching for the depth. It was always something I could find deeper. At first I didn't know exactly what it was, but there was something beckoning me to find whatever that purpose was. And I've been searching for it for a couple of years now. I could say definitely been a thing.
What sort of things did you experience that let you decide that you were kind of being called for something? Like what were the signs of your calling, of this journey you speak of?
For signs, it was honestly, it was like during the pandemic was huge. Like as a kid, I was very empathetic and everything, and I was very open, and I used to see full apparitions and everything, but I just think that was like hauntings. But when COVID came around, we all had to like kind of stay home, and no one was out in public really, so we really had to focus on ourselves. And I basically was really working on myself too, because I was a recovering alcoholic for like 12 years. And so I really started focusing on being better version of me to, heal myself, which I didn't know I was doing, but I was trying not to be angry as much. And so I was just kind of trying to process emotions. These are all these things that were coming through. And when I started really feeling the weight, because I didn't really watch TV, I was trying to seclude myself from like the outside world of all the chaos that was going on, but I really felt everybody and empathically, like the world, honestly. And that really opened the door for me. And I do remember meditating once in the beginning, trying to keep the anger down and frustrations. And I remember seeing a black door open like this one time when I was meditating, and that really felt like I was opening the door to the spirituality realm and to where I am today.
Did you have a general sense of being angry at everything, or was there something specific that you hadn't dealt with in the past? What was?
It was more of losing my mother, and honestly, it was when I lost my mom, she was getting an operation, and she was a plus size woman, and she needed this operation. She had cancer on her kidney, and so it was something she needed to be happened right away. So when that happened, it actually the staple gun misfired and hit her main artery, and so it was kind of she was supposed to come out that day, so we didn't expect it at all. So when that happened, I kind of had a salty taste in my mouth for a long time, because we weren't told what happens truthfully and all that. So yeah, I was pretty angry for a while about that, and I just suppressed it with booze. That's basically what I did, and tried to keep that angry little monster, down there for a while, and not deal with it, honestly, because it's a scary thing to deal with and process that stuff. It's
So
never a
so
fun thing.
no, and it's certainly not that. And it's
Yeah.
funny because it's a horrible stat. It's like one of the leading causes of death is medical care.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
So
Yeah.
how long ago was that? When did you lose your mom?
That was 12 years ago. 12 years ago, actually, last month.
Oh, wow.
Seems longer, but yeah, it was 12 years ago. But going through this process of, if you would call it spiritual awakening, our journey that we're on to, everyone's on the journey. I understand it now because I've learned to address it and heal it. And it's always going to hurt, but we keep healing it. It's easier and softer. And so I've learned to kind of understand why. I guess where I'm coming from is I understand why it happened, so I'm not upset with the situation anymore because I know we all have like a soul contract and we all come here and we have this time period that we know we're going to be on Earth. We as our 3D selves don't know that, but when we come here to Earth as a soul, we do know. So, and I understand the situation now, and yeah, so I'm not so angry at it anymore. It helps.
And was there a single turning point then that you realized that the drinking wasn't helping anything and you were going to make a change there?
Yeah. So I learned that there's darkness and light in the world, and I was met with a lot of darkness, um, you know, negative energies and all that. I at my mostly every day, and a lot of voices going on, like I want to quit drinking, but I keep hearing like drink, 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 and that's myself saying that, my dark side just kind of poking at it. And I kind of had to like venture through that with a lot of hurdles. And yeah, that was it's I would say not it's not easy, but once you can work through it, it's a lot easier in the end. It's not as scary, I guess I would say. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge. I would say it definitely was.
Were you able to work through anything while drinking,
Yeah.
or did the healing only begin kind of after that?
Well, I was always so yeah, sorry. I was always trying to like when I was working through it, I always had like a self-worth for myself. Um, so I always had like the light almost at the end of the tunnel and I was like really close to it. I knew I should stop, but I got so deep into it. Um, and what helped me was a great breakthrough for me is I had my guides, which I didn't know at the time, but I used to have like a woman call my name out every morning, call like Justin, like wake up, kind of like wake up. And I thought it was like wake up out of bed, but it's like wake up, come on, you're almost there. And then I had a very lucid dream of my guide Eric, and I've seen he came in the dream. I had like I live on Cape Cod, and there was like a little Cape Cod magazine for me to show me. It was kind of like I don't know what that was, kind of like a dream to show me that we're in a dream, but you're still in Cape Cod kind of thing. And so I had like a young girl and a young boy and an old lady. And when I saw them two, I was looking at them like, this is not my family, but it felt so real. And so basically, the lady looked at me telepathically and said, "We are your family." So I kind of freaked out. I went outside, and it was like, oh, it had it was all snowy outside, and there was a deck with a dock going down to the water. So I started going down there to kind of get away from people to like collect myself. I start sitting down and I see my guide Eric coming. He's like 7 foot tall and he's walking to me. I'm sitting next to this pond with like a little violet flame kind of vortex sitting there. I looked at him and I knew his name. So obviously I knew him. And he says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Am I?" Like, I don't know what's going on. And he looks at me, he goes, "You wanted this, but you're not ready." So when I had that happen to me and I woke up, that kind of woke me up because I was like, what am I not ready for? It. That was the question. Like, who is this man? what do I want? I kind of knew what I wanted, and it was like getting out of drinking. So he was basically telling me like, you're not ready yet because you're still in the dark, but this is what you can have, you know? So that really did help me. That was very pivotal.
And so did you just decide one day, all right, I'm done drinking, or did you need to go through did a program help you out, or?
Yeah, so I've tried it multiple times, and I did a program once, and for people that do the program, I'm not knocking it at all. It's just something that didn't work for me. I tried it, and the amazing people there, but that wasn't for me. So I basically got honest. I'm not a churchy person, but I went to the church one day, and I was still hammered. I went to a church, and I'm just like on my hands and knees begging, like, please, like somebody help me. Like I can't get any lower than this. Like I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I'm on my hands and knees in a church. Like I'm hello, And so then I had a friend of mine that I haven't seen in years, who's like a best friend of mine in high school. And I saw him and his wife, and they just had a 1-year-old. And so I started seeing them more, and they started showing me like that I mattered. So that helped me a lot and gave me space. And then they bought a house, and they said, hey, why don't you move in with us so you can have a place to be sober? And so I started doing that, working on that, and just someone showing the light to me and showing that I do matter, and someone caring that I actually, someone that actually cares that I'm doing something bad to myself, instead of just people letting you be, oh, that's just him, let him be him, just Justin, he's upset. So that's what ties in with like helping guys and everything, is that showing someone that cares and to help you pick up and help you rise is something amazing. It's pure medicine.
I wish more people realize this, but being of service, helping somebody helps you so much. Like that is not a one-way street.
100%, 100%. And it's funny because recently I've been saying to and posting to a lot of people is, if you can help one person, like if I can help you, just say this, if I can pass on something to you, and then you can pass it on to 2 other people, and then those 2 other people can pass it on to 2, now that's 4, and that's like, it multiplies and multiplies. So the ripple effect I think is amazing. Shine your light for others. I just posted about like an hour ago. If someone's in darkness and you can shine and be the shining light to them, that is huge, because by example of shining your light in your darkness to being to light, it shows them that they can actually do the same thing. So people ask like, what can I do for others? Simply just that. Just be that shining light. And that is huge. That can just, jet set someone that's ready. Definitely helps.
Earlier you mentioned that you were empathic as a kid. Did you have any of these other kind of lucid dreaming and recognition of guys? Was that something you experienced as a child?
Yeah, I did. So I'm on Cape Cod. It's an island in Massachusetts, and a lot of Native American land here. And so yeah, when I was a kid, there was a lot of. I live in the conservation in the backyard and had a lot of stuff back there. But yeah, I had a lot of lucid dreaming as a child, but I just cooked it up to be like nightmares, and just imagination as a child. And I used to see things in my house, like, but I would always like kind of the ego thing, right? You're just like, oh, that was just the light flickering, or I had like one time I had a shadow of on top of me, and I thought it was my father, and I turned the lights on, and then he wasn't there, but I was just in, so no one was in my room, but I just passed it off to be, there was a Coke can in front of it, so it looked like that, so I used to do that a lot, but knowing that that's not the truth now, Yeah, a lot of lucid dreams towards, even with my mother, when she passed, I had that opened the door when I was younger. I was like 20s, 25, when I was back at the house. That definitely was a lot of lucid dreaming going on then. A lot of empathic stuff too, feeling my father, feeling my brother, feeling my grandma next door, So if you're not grounded and everything, that really is a big thing too. If you're not grounded and you're not taking care of yourself as an empath, it is troublesome.
And how aware of all that were you as a child? Because I've had similar experiences,
no.
and I was a mess as a kid.
Oh yeah, I was a mess. I was a hot mess. I mean, My mom brought me to like doctors for ADD, and then ADHD and all these things, and like um, and I was very hyperetic too because all that was going on, and the energies I was getting was just almost like having like 5 cups of coffee because you're just like all over the place. Yeah, it definitely affected me, but I think the ADD is not, personally, from my perspective, as they say, ADD is not really what I think it is. I kind of feel it with the ADD was, yeah, I wasn't paying attention, but I'm receiving so much information. It was almost like people thought I wasn't paying attention, but I was. But I was also receiving from up the above.
Yeah,
Also,
you're paying attention to different things than they're wanting you to pay attention to. That's
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm. And what about healing? What got you into healing? Did you receive healing, seek healing? What got you into that field?
I've always felt like it's like the blinding of who I was. Like I just didn't know who I was. Like I've always been like there for everyone and trying to help others and listen to whoever's at school that I don't know that was like, sitting by and like crying or something like that. So that's a form of healing, and just shining a light again, being the light, being next to someone is healing. So and my father is like an earth angel. We've always done like can drives and help kids with like what they call that, like for Salvation Army for like Christmas, and we did a lot of CCD and church groups when I was younger, when I had to do those things. But I just watched my father take care of people and be in service, going to nursing homes on his own, not being paid, and like dementia patients and all that. And I used to go with them and do stuff like that. So just that alone, I was just blown away, to see a man be a different person and then change into like an earth angel, as I've been told that he is, and just switch his like mentality to like a totally different person, and then have this pouring heart to help people. And that was huge for me. I thought that was amazing.
So you're
And there's
saying
something.
at home, like in day-to-day life, your dad was not that open-hearted and of service. It was only when he went out and
Yeah.
saw people.
So my dad, he is very gifted and he doesn't know it. He's a very church oriented person, so it doesn't mix. He's very Catholic and set in his ways, and he just doesn't see it the way I can see it. So he's very empathic, and he has all the stuff that, I mean, he's my father, so makes sense, right? And but yeah, so he's very nervous all the time because he's feeling energy, and he's always like pacing, and he's like I always call him a nervous Nelly. He's just a nervous Nelly. He's just like like a leaf blowing into the wind. So, but when he's like talking to these people, he's not that nervous person. He's a very grounded man. He's a very focused, very attentive. Like everything else was washed away. It's just that person in front of him. And it's amazing. And so for me, for healing, seeing myself in the darkness that I wanted to help others fast track. So for me, to see how much struggle and torture I put myself in, that's the main word really that I did, is I tortured myself for so long. I was like groundhog every day. So when I actually got to the point where I could heal myself, saw what I could do, I was like, oh, I got to do this for everyone else. Like, I don't want anyone else to do what I did. I want to help people with grieving, and get people on the right track wherever they may be. If it's just a speck of sand that I can help that person, then I am happier than ever to help that person. It fills my heart for someone to just help them maybe ground for that day, and they can go home and sleep better. That's big.
And the last time we spoke, I think you mentioned wanting to help men centaur or embrace the divine masculine. So I wonder what can you define divine masculine? What does that mean to you?
So actually, I really want men to embrace divine masculine and divine feminine. So honestly, when men that are not really, when they're just learning, when they hear feminine, they're like, oh, like, I'm a man, like, I'm tough. Like, and it's like, yes, you are. But today we are, everything's demanding, like the universe is demanding today, especially for men to have divine masculine and divine feminine. So masculine for me is, for honestly, is, I would say, like tough and strong, but like with compassion, with love. We can be strong as we can be energetically. As I look at stuff, we have energies around us as a healer. But if we're strong and tough and we're trying to push like stuff down the hill, it's not going to work. Like we can do this in this 3D world, but we can't do this in an energetic perspective. We have to go with grace. Um, so feminine ties in too, because that helps us be graceful as men. And honestly, I always like say, like, if you could, a lot of men that presented me in front of me that I work with, they think they could pick a truck up and they're like strong as anything. That's cool. But to me, I think a strong masculine is that if they can actually heal themselves first and then heal their family, then that is the strongest in the world to me. I think that's amazing if you can do that. If you can actually conquer yourself and conquer your darkness and then take care of your family and heal everyone else, then that's a strong man right there.
Yeah, I find there's a
Definitely.
common misperception that being a man means you're only masculine, but masculine and feminine energy is in everything.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You might have already talked about him, but let's see. What man had the biggest impact on your life?
Yes, that would be my father. That would definitely be my dad. He's an interesting one, he's huge impact. But he's also showed me, like, he didn't have an easy life. He was a children of 8 and had like one meatball for like the whole week. Like they were poor, very poor. He had a very abusive father, and then he had a stepfather that was very abusive. Both alcoholics, all that. So he swore to himself as a child that he would never lay a hand on his children, and he never did. Do we push him to the edge of like frustration? Oh yeah, I mean, what kid doesn't, right? But yeah, I look up to him. I looked at like, wow, a guy that can defeat all that, right? Like getting beat and having not really great fathers to starting his own business and he's a master plumber and like, providing for 3 boys and a wife for a nice big, he had like a big house for him. We had great life, very affectionate family. Very loving family. So I was blessed, to have that, because I know there's not many that do, as my friends at least I know don't have that as a very affectionate. And he taught me honestly what soft, kind, gentle men look like. That he could be a strong masculine, but he had very divine in him too, feminine divine in him, and to see that balance is who I am today.
Does he know how much you have gotten from him and look up to him?
I hope so. I do tell him. But that's all, we only can receive what we want to receive. We can tell X, Y, and Z. And if you're up for, and this is like a mirror for me too. Like I used to not receive like compliments, even though I was doing well. So, but I don't do that anymore. I think, but with him, yeah, I think he does. I mean, he sees me from how dark I was, and like my mom was my soulmate. Like that, it crushed my father because it's his wife, but it crushed me because it was like my best friend, soulmate, everything. Like, we were very connected, very connected. So yeah, I definitely, I do think he sees that because I'm just not who I was before. I was very recluse and very tied to the bottle. So I do think he sees it.
What are you proud of, Justin?
I'm proud of the progress I made. And I'm so blessed and grateful every day to know that I was in a dark, deep hole, very dark. So dark that there was all black around me. And I'm just proud that I did it on my own, and I'm proud that I'm taking these hurdles every day that I'm still working on, because it's an everyday process. It's never easy. It gets lighter, right? When we heal something and it comes back around in the cycle, it's softer. So yeah, I'm very proud of a lot of stuff with that. I'm proud that like I can catch myself now instead of playing the victim game. I'm like, whoa, wait. Let's, this is what it is, but it's okay because we already did this before. But it's just that we know how to navigate it. Now we just might have to navigate just a little bit to the left to figure it out the second time. So yeah, I'm very proud for that stuff, because mentally I wasn't even there. I was always, used to call myself a horrible person and you're disgusting and you deserve these things, looking in the mirror. So now I'm proud that I can say, I love you. You're amazing. You're full of light, and I'm proud of you. I can actually say I'm proud of myself. It's kind of nice,
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to?
Oh, what am I looking forward to? I would say I'm looking forward to helping others, really, honestly. Like that's my mission, is to help others move in the right direction, and just be in service is really truly from my heart, is to be in service. It fills my day when I help someone and they walk in all nervous and they're just like, I have everything on the table that they want to talk about. You just sit there and listen to them. And then by the time they leave, they're full of energy and they're excited and they're happy and they give you a big hug. That's huge. So I look forward to that stuff.
How does someone know they're headed in the right direction?
Um, I only can speak for my like self.
Mhm.
Again, I always like to say my perspective because that's where I'm coming from. It's my knowing. It's my practice that I do. I'm practicing every day, so I know my right direction because again, it's just my knowing. I can't really explain what knowing feels like for anyone else, but it just feels true. Um, and it's very clear for me because I'm not fighting it anymore. I'm not fighting and trying to go against the grain to where I thought I should be. I listen to my guides. I listen to myself. Is big. I don't listen to my ego. I listen to my true higher self, and I observe. You have to take a few. You can't just like jump into it and go. It's calculated. You have to kind of like sit back and have a higher perspective, and actually focus on where you're going and what you're doing, instead of being like on this, on the fly. Because on the fly, again, I used to do that and it didn't work for me. So now being more aware, I can see the avenue. Sometimes there's a fork in the road you can take, but I know both are the right direction, but which one do I want to take?
Hmm. So
Which lesson do I want to learn?
is it kind of that a sense of being in the flow and perhaps synchronicities, or confirming it's the right thing? Yeah.
Synchronicities, 100%. I can't deny it. Like, so like yesterday, let's just say like this, like I'm like, so I quit my job last week because I'm done on being on the grind, and my soul is just grinding into the earth, and it's not aligning with me. So I took action, and that's another thing that was a healing aspect for me, is to have faith within me and in what I'm supposed to do. And so synchronicities, I walk by this girl at Stop and Shop, and I'm giving out flyers for clearing homes, doing energy clearing for homes. And then I went across the other side of the plaza and I go into the place where my cat veterinarian, and she walks right out. So I was like, excuse me. I was like, I don't want to like scare you, but I just want to give you a flyer because this is a synchronicity. Like you can't deny someone walking by you two times, in this big plaza. So I just gave her one. So I see a lot of those things, and I'm focusing on who I'm seeing.
And is there anything you wish you learned at a younger age?
No, I would say no, because then I wouldn't be who I am today. So I would say definitely not, because the lessons I was taught is who I am today. And I repeated that, but that's just like, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. Definitely
Awesome.
not.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always advise people and like you're doing, I speak from my experience because the best teacher
Yeah.
is your experience.
Yes.
And
Yes, it is.
and
Yeah.
someone else's experience can guide you, and you can be attracted to it and take some steps in that direction. But ultimately, it's what you do, it's the actions you take that really determine.
Yeah, it is, because if you're not listening to yourself, then I kind of say, what's the point to me? Because it's kind of like almost like an ego. If you listen to everyone else, it's kind of like an egoic kind of thing for me. And for people out there that use like Facebook, like, bless you. Like, if that's helping you, I love it, but I don't. Those things I don't, because then I get kind of like, for myself, I'm like, am I doing this right? So I just always known that that's best for what works for me, because there's no right or wrong in the way people do things, anyone. So that's a big thing for people to know. Like, you're never doing anything wrong.
Mm.
you know?
Is there one thing you wish more men knew besides that, I guess?
Yeah, take your time. Like, we're on this journey. It's not like it's coming. We want things fast. We're human. We want things quickly. It doesn't work that way. And so, for example, like, I was getting so much information coming into me, and I was like, wow, I'm actually good at something. And that's how it felt, because I wasn't very good at school. Studying, it wasn't my thing. So when I was receiving everything, I thought that was amazing. So I was like, keep coming, keep coming, keep pumping it. And then it was like breaks, and I was in a suspension mode, healing. And so uh, I had Source come and tell me, basically, like, be at bay, like, stay, like, sit, respite, relax. And that was very hard for me. But that was a very good lesson for me too, because we can't keep going so fast. So we have to, like, know that, like, if you hear a guide say like something's happening, it doesn't mean today. And that we have to have honor time, because time doesn't matter above. Time is not a thing. And abundance, that's another thing. People keep hearing abundance is not just money. Abundance is love. Abundance is time. Like, right now, I have time to do my things right now because I'm not working and grinding. That's the abundance that I've been told. Which, actually, at Two Feathers, I was talking to Jen there, and that's what she was telling me. She's like, it's time is your abundance right now. So that's a huge thing, because abundance, people think it's 3D. They think that's straight money. So that's not such. It's not a thing. I mean, it could be money, but not always.
It is a thing, but it's not only that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So, Justin, how can people learn more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook.
Which
I'm
you
on
just said
business.
was horrible, right?
Well, I mean, like, I'm on Facebook so, like, even YouTube, like, like that. Like, I would use YouTube for like things that are good for me, right? So, but I would definitely say, like, I'm on so I'm on Facebook. And to Facebook, it's the Saving Light on Facebook. I think you have the link right on the thing. But and I'm also on Instagram too. So it's the Saving Light. So it's just like the _saving_light on Facebook and on TikTok.
Cool. Awesome. Well, it was good to chat with you, Justin, and
well, thanks for having me.
Learn more about your life and your journey, your awakening, and your desire to help and serve, because that's really what it's about.
It is. That's what exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
It's not the individual journey. The individual journey can go a lot better if you make it about others.
Yeah, I mean, because others, like, we can be a teacher for someone, and then after that same person in front of you can be your teacher, which is big. So if someone's starting off too, I think that's a big thing for people to know. When you see someone helping you, don't be like, oh man, I can't do what they do. No, that's not right, because I've had so many experiences of teachers flipping it to me being their teacher, and it's a fun experience. So have an open heart.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, again, thanks again, Justin. Thanks again for everyone for joining us today and tuning in. Wherever you're discovering Real Men Feel, please subscribe, follow, like, share this with somebody, post a review or a comment. You can always reach out to me at realmenfeel@gmail.com. Always glad to hear from you. And the holiday season is rapidly approaching. You can grab some great Real Men Feel hoodies and t-shirts like the one I'm wearing for the men in your life, including yourself, at realmenfeel.org/swag. And if you're listening to this, you don't see me, imagine the coolest shirt you've ever seen in your life. And that's all I'll say. So until next time, be good to yourself.